leaders born or made? I think it's a combination of both, but my gut instinct says they are born.
But I often find that it's the people that don't want to lead that make the best leaders. They naturally shy away from the spotlight. They're naturally quietly committed to just doing the work, doing it well. But I also have this kind of inner energy that allows them to see progressive ways forward.
I've always had a mischievous, rule-breaking element to me. And sometimes that's served me really, really well. And it's probably gotten me to the positions that I've gotten to, if I'm honest.
And I often look at the Donald Trumps of this world that got none of the other characteristics of leadership, but just a stupid amount of confidence. Just crazy amount of confidence.
Yeah. And confidence is the number one. There is just no debate. There's no getting around it. I'm always trying to work out, is it a cultural thing? Is it a systemic thing? What is it? Is it... Let's jump in.
Let's see what we've got.
Hold on. Now I need something new.
A new jingle.
Oh, it wasn't that.
Can we cut that? All right. Do you believe leaders are born or made?
Oh, I was born for that question.
Yeah.
I was born for that question. Oh, Mac. It's very hard, because what I've learned about these conversations is that you create all these great points and then you make me change my mind. Yeah, you, Mac.
I think this is a very, very simple one. I've got a very nuanced view.
Are leaders born or made? I think it's a combination of both, but my gut instinct says they are born.
Really?
Definitely.
I have a gut instinct that is the opposite. I feel
Why does that not surprise me?
It's weird,
really?
Yeah, because I feel like I was watching something the other day that was talking about how people that excel in school kind of peak in school.
Yeah.
So, and people that don't necessarily excel in school typically go on to achieve great things in their life.
Did you excel at school?
I didn't, and maybe that's why it resonated with me, because I was like, oh, okay, I didn't do amazing in school. I didn't fail. Like I was
No.
middle grade student.
I think there was truth in that. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's comfort that I'm seeking from that experience to say there's still hope for me, because I didn't peak in school.
But that school system is a system, right? If anything, I think that's the opposite to leaders.
Okay.
Often.
How so?
Well, if I bring my daughters into this equation, their school might not be happy if anyone's watching from the school. I doubt it, if I'm totally honest. But just in case. Well, when they break the rules a little bit, or they get a detention, or they make a stand, I'm rather proud of them. Now, I know that is the opposite. And just to be clear, I have a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old. She's going to be 14. So I've been a parent for quite a long time, because I don't want them to check every box and do exactly as they've told all the time. They need to have that element. That is important. We can't have unruly, crazy children and people running around, right? So there's an element of that. Of course there is. But there is definitely an element of disruption, I believe, that is needed. And that for me is a leadership quality. And one of the things that I say in my keynotes all the time is, I was naughty at home. I was naughty at school. It led me to lots of different places that I probably shouldn't have been in. But it's because I'm a leader. And I wholeheartedly believe it.
Not just unruly.
Maybe a bit. But maybe that's what...
Is that what leadership is?
I wonder. Are they not the ones that often would challenge and push and question?
It's an interesting one though. And it comes back to like, what do we define as a leader? And I think different people will have different expectations or understandings of what leadership is. I think leadership to me is everything you've said around kind of disrupting the norm, creating new things, new paths, new ways of doing things or seeing situations. But I don't necessarily think that's everyone's expectation of what leadership is. And it's probably one of the reasons that I think leadership is hard, because everyone has their own expectation of what a leader should do. And it's something that I spend a lot of time with leaders, and one of the things I often say to them is that it's the most thankless job.
Yeah, it is.
Being a leader.
Yeah,
Because
it's a bit like being a parent. Sorry if anybody's offended by that. Not that you're parenting people, but it can be very thankless at times.
I was going to say it's probably worse. Because I think
you get the joy from your own children, obviously,
and also
love.
kids generally don't know very much.
Yeah.
Whereas leading people, every person thinks that they know so much about everything in terms of like how you should be leading, how you should be showing up. If you do something wrong, you're absolutely crucified.
Gosh. Yeah.
And there's no real, like, if you do something right, it's everyone else that you have to share that joy with everyone. And
is this a personal?
It is, yeah.
Are you sharing? Are you okay?
This is absolutely therapy.
This is a safe space.
Yeah,
I would like to say. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, I think there is a lot of that in terms of it's not always safe for leaders to make mistakes.
Oh, I agree with that.
And therefore I feel like a lot of leaders either second guess themselves or put themselves into this position of trying to please everyone where you can't. And again, a lot of the advice I give to leaders is you have to be super thick-skinned as a leader. However, bringing it back to the question, I don't think anyone's born being thick-skinned. I think that's circumstantial.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of born and made, but I do wonder if there's a certain personality trait. Like there's some people that it would be their worst nightmare to lead, so they might at home lead their family or I don't know, extracurricular kind of things that they're involved in, but actually they really are not interested in leading people. I hear that quite a lot from candidates. I hear it. So
but I often find that it's the people that don't want to lead that make the best leaders. And it's something that I've observed time and time again, where it's like they naturally shy away from the spotlight. They're naturally quietly committed to just doing the work, doing it well. But I also have this kind of inner energy that allows them to see progressive ways forward and to communicate in such a holistic and inclusive way that naturally positions them as leaders, and you kind of get thrust into leadership.
Are you describing yourself?
I am. I genuinely am.
I actually think you. I don't think you're consciously doing it, but I actually think you are.
No, but I've also seen it in so many other people where I'm like, I think a lot of people that don't want to be leaders naturally make the best leaders, and on the contrary, I see a lot of people that desperately want to be leaders, but it's like you're not
cut out.
You're not cut out for it. You don't have the personality for it. There's a lot of, I think, ego in people's leadership, the way they lead.
I would definitely question. I think someone that really wants to be a leader, I'd definitely be questioning why, and aside from, and the reasons that we would normally hear is, I want more money, I want to make it to director level by the time I'm X amount of age, and that to me is success, and that is ego driven, you're right, but it's ambition driven though as well, right? So I don't know, because I am thinking about myself as a leader, and I'm thinking about you. Yeah, well, we're different leaders, but I think we have a lot of the same values and traits actually. But I don't shy away from the spotlight, but I certainly wouldn't just be thrusting myself in it if it's my team, the opposite of, and I would definitely quietly do the work. Do I enjoy? I feel like I've always found myself to be in leadership positions.
Yeah. Why is that?
This is going to sound like a big-headed thing to say, but it is, and it's not.
Into it. Blow your own trumpet.
I feel like people often look, I feel like people often, it's going to sound ridiculous, please don't hate me after this, but I feel like people often look to me for an answer or a solution or a plan or they like the way something's been done and they want to do it too, and that's outside of this business, because when you're the founder of a business, you're naturally leading. I mean, both of us could have different leaders in actually, and we could take a slightly different position, right? But we're both active leaders in our businesses. But outside of my own business, I was in a leadership position from 19 years old.
I was going to ask, pre that, so you said that people naturally look for you for answers or ways of doing things.
Yeah,
was that always the case in like school growing up? What was that like?
Oh gosh, do we want to lean into the trauma, Mac?
Go
I
on,
don't know.
let's do it. Let's unpick the layers.
No, I wouldn't say so at school. I think I was vocal. I was definitely vocal. I definitely called most of the teachers by their first name. I know. Looking back, I just thought it was so funny. Terrible. Still now, like, definitely called most of them by their first name. Thought it was hilarious. Until obviously I ended up in a position where not many of them wanted to teach me anymore. Again, still smashed my GCSEs. I thought, I'll show them. I've always had a mischievous or a rule-breaking element to me, or I don't understand. If I don't understand why we're doing it like that, then I will just probably not do it like that, right? And sometimes that served me really, really well, and it's probably gotten me to the positions that I've gotten to, if I'm honest. But in other ways, it hasn't. And of course, I've learned some harsh lessons from that. But yeah, I am one for the rules in a different way. So in a work environment, I actually found I was probably quite the opposite, and what drove me was performance. And I think because I've always focused on trying to be the best performer there, the best one there, that's always my objective. How do I be the top performer? And that was driven from, I need to make money because I've got young children and, you know, all of my circumstances. But it was high performance. I was also a swimmer when I was younger, and I swam at high levels. And I don't know if there's that a sports performance mindset. I'm not trying to act like I'm an England footballer over here, by the way.
Is what it is.
All for the Lionesses. But I think it does drive like a performance kind of led approach, or maybe I'm hyper functioning, and I've had to look into that quite a lot. So I definitely have those elements, but I think because of that, it's led to me being in leadership positions quite naturally, because I've tended to be, and again, not always, I've failed epically at loads of things, right, publicly and none, but I've tended to be the top performer. So then the natural next step is, okay, how did it? But that's through sheer hard work. That's not because I'm naturally gifted or anything.
Yeah. So you weren't naturally born a leader?
Why are you trying to do this to me, man?
I'm not. I'm just asking the question.
No, but I think there's something in my personality that's happy to take on the challenge, and is happy to go, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. Whereas I don't think, and that is a born trait, like it's something in my DNA, because I've always had it from a young child. And even when I did The Apprentice, which I never really talk about, but anyway, even when I did The Apprentice, the first task, everybody's like, oh, and I didn't really realise it's because you can get sacked if you're the leader. I didn't really clock that. So I just thought, oh God, they're all faffing around. Let's just get the job done. All right, I'll do it. So I've always had that temperament to me.
I didn't know you were the first
one. We won the task. No, I don't want to talk about it now. But I'm playing. But it's just that I think that I've been, I don't want to sort of say, but not brave enough or bold enough in moments to step up. And that trait, I really do believe I was born with. Did I know how to lead people at 5 years old? Absolutely. Of course not. Of course not. There's been a whole journey that I'm still on, and still I hope to be on for always. You know, if I have the privilege actually of leading people.
It's interesting because I think that I have a similar trait in me where I'm undeterred by things like putting yourself forward, and I don't think that's always been the case, and that's kind of why I questioned whether it's something that was born in you, something like a natural trait.
What was your like school going into the workplace?
I've suppressed all that trauma.
Okay.
School was interesting, so I feel like I really excelled in primary school.
Yeah, same actually.
Like one of the best performers in kind of my year, probably the whole school.
Okay.
To some extent.
Okay,
at a certain
Mac,
level.
we see you.
It is what it is. But then when I transitioned into secondary school, so I went to a grammar school.
Okay. Oh, you are a high performer. Okay, Mac.
I thought I was. And I think when I got into grammar school setting, I realised that actually I was very average.
You're not, but I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I think that whole experience, add to that, there was like a layer of like racism that I experienced within that setting as well, which I think knocked my confidence. So I was kind of more inclined to fade into the background, more inclined to be quiet, and just kind of quietly did my own thing.
Yeah.
But interestingly, it was like sports that brought that, I guess, competitiveness out of me with basketball. I played basketball reasonably well, and that was something that I really leaned into. I guess from a leadership perspective as well. And I guess sports is a good analogy in terms of when either things aren't going for you as a team, who's the person that they look to. And I think I've always been one of those people in like high pressured situations. I don't necessarily crumble. And I guess that's something that I'm not sure whether it's nature or nurture. And it's interesting, as you're talking about The Apprentice, I was thinking about times when I've put my hand up because everyone else is reluctant. And I think there's something that is like a reinforcement loop to say, if you do that and it isn't a disaster, then you're more inclined to do it again. But I think if you do that the first time and you get your hands burnt, does that just cut short your leadership potential?
No, I don't think so. Because I actually think that if it did, then you're not born to be a leader. Because I think the resilience part of it is the trait that is the born with. I think it's like that element that goes, okay, I'm going to do it again.
I hear you. But I think that resilience is learned behaviour.
Yeah.
So I think we naturally become more resilient the more stuff we go through.
Yeah, we do. But it's who's going to get back up afterwards. So are you the child or are you the toddler that's just lying there on the floor? Do you know what I mean? Or are you going to keep getting back up again? Are you going to keep getting back up again? And I think it's that trait that kind of follows through.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, I really do believe that. I think it's possible to be made a leader. Of course it is, absolutely. And they could be the most incredible leaders. I don't deter from that. But I think you're really pushing yourself sometimes in different areas that are very much out of your comfort zone. So it's whether that individual is comfortable and wants to do that. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I don't think the loudest in the room is the leader in the room. I don't think that. I think often they're the one that might need to be a bit more quiet. So it's not a vocal thing that we're talking about, but it's a personality trait that I think we're talking about in terms of resilience, getting back up, being brave enough or being bold enough to speak out, to take accountability if and when it all goes wrong for other people. And I think to care about other people as well. That's the best leader, right?
Yeah. I agree. I agree to an extent. And I guess as you're talking, I was just questioning in my head, like that whole, because I'm a great believer in personal development and agency, and the fact that people should, in my humble opinion, develop as time goes on. So I think actually there are people, like the analogy you used in terms of the loudest in the room. I think those people have the ability to learn how to be leaders because they already have the confidence. And I think confidence is one of the aspects I think that makes good leaders, just having that ability to step into a certain situation, to take ownership, take responsibility. There's a lot of confidence that comes with that.
Huge amount of need, and a quiet confidence sometimes.
Yeah. But I think if you've already got the confidence, then the other aspects of leadership can be learned. And actually, I think it's harder sometimes for people that could be great leaders to learn the confidence that's needed to lead, because I've seen leaders that have all of the things that would make them a good leader in terms of caring about people, kind of the strategic imperative. There's a lot of things that make up leadership, and we can maybe unpack that a little bit later. But just don't have the confidence. And it's like, I'll never put my hand up. I'll never put myself forward. Even if I've got ideas, I'm not going to share them because I'm not confident enough. And it's like, when you have a one-to-one conversation with those people, you're like, actually, you're a great leader. Yeah, you would actually be an amazing leader, the type of leader that most organizations need. However, you just don't have that confidence to bring it to the fore.
And I suspect, and what do you do in that scenario? Do you think, I'm going to work with that person?
For me personally, I always try to work with people that lack confidence, because I think lacking confidence is like one of the biggest the biggest gaps that I see in humanity, where it's like actually so much could be changed if people just had the confidence to lean into what that change looked like. And I often look at the Donald Trumps of this world that got none of the other characteristics of leadership, but just a stupid amount of confidence. Just crazy amount of confidence.
Yeah, so delusionally.
Absolute delusion. But it's like, because they've got so much confidence, they just do all manner of things. I won't go into it, but just hearing him on a podcast, on a deposition, talking about, I won't say what he was talking about, but just the confidence to say some of the things that he says and just normalize just absolute horrendous things that's coming out of your mouth, just pure nonsense. But he's like, he says it in such a way, it's like
everyone goes, you know, all the people around him, not everyone.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think the confidence piece is massive, especially with women. I work with a lot of women, you know, I'm involved with a lot of women's charities. And confidence is the number one. There is just no debate. There's no getting around it. And I'm always trying to work out, is it a cultural thing? Is it a systemic thing? What is it? Is it just our nature nurture element? I don't know. But confidence is huge, and I think that's a big part actually of why we see less women in leadership. That's changing, by the way, but I think it's a big part of it as well, not just that it's something new and different for people to step into, but actually that there's a real confidence that is needed there.
But it's hard though as well, because it's like not just confidence in yourself and your ability, but also other people having confidence in you. And I think that's something that I've definitely struggled with in my leadership journey, to say, because a lot of it is, I think we internalize how people view us to some extent, and that can impact how you show up. And for me, it's been that journey to show up regardless of what people think about you, show up regardless of how that's received. Not to say you disregard all feedback, because a lot of feedback is valuable, necessary, but not allowing it to hinder you to the extent that you get so wrapped up in how people view you that you're not authentically yourself.
I think that's hard. I think that's I'm thinking, do I have a blind confidence? No, I definitely don't. And actually I think a lot about what people think of me in my personal life. You know, I've gone to lunch with you before, Mac, and come away and thought, I wonder if Mac likes me. You know, I wonder if I was chattering about this and I was chattering about that, you know, and that's a confidence, self-worth thing as well, right? So that's a confidence thing. But strangely, professionally, I don't know, we really have a culture in our business that's very feedback orientated, very collaborative. I'm not hierarchical at all, probably quite the opposite. That said, it's very clear, you know, this is the strategy, this is what we're doing, what do you think? And I'm accountable and responsible. And I see it more of a responsibility than anything else. I need to make sure my team are well, that, you know, they've got other things going on, that their mortgages are paid. You know, it's more a responsibility is the way that I see it, rather than, hey, this is what we're all doing. It's not. It's pressure. You know, it's a big pressure.
100%. I don't think everyone can deal with that pressure. I think especially when times get hard, and I think this is one of the dimensions I wanted to explore actually, in terms of this nature versus nurture, because I think people can have all of the attributes needed for leadership. However, there are circumstances that are just either beyond them or make them act differently or respond differently outside of their normal character. And that's probably more the reason why I lean towards nurture, to say actually what you go through in life, what you go through as a leader, adds to your ability to lead. And I think the resilience that you mentioned earlier is super important as well, in terms of having done it time and time again. There's a certain muscle that you build, there's a certain discipline that you build in terms of knowing how to respond, and also knowing that not everything is existential. And I think when you're early in your leadership journey, every crisis feels like
it's massive,
it's huge,
it's massive.
Like, am I going to exist? And then you go for it for a couple of years and you're like, this is just the day-to-day of leadership, and It's really interesting. This is one of the reasons I love talking to leaders, to say it's just not something that is typical. To go through the highs and lows of leadership on a day-to-day basis
Absolutely
not for the faint-hearted.
It's not for the faint-hearted. And I think that's the difference with leaders. That's the point. I think the leaders are the ones that rise time and time again. I mean, I can tell you a quick funny story. All right. So when I was 19 and I had the opportunity to do this secondment, which I just couldn't believe, in a big, massive global organisation. And I'd been there for a few months and I'd been a top performer, so they'd given this opportunity. Amazing. And I was going to take over the team, part of the team that I had come from. So I'm 19. Some of the women are 60. It's all women. It's a whole female team. It's a part-time team. And I'm going to take them over. So you can imagine, I mean, they're thinking, who the hell does she think she is? She's tottering down the office. She's been here for a few months. We've been here for 10 years. And she's taken over the team at this young age. And I was walking down, it had fancy offices, and there was, like the aircon things in the floor. Well, I had like my smartest outfit on, trying to be a leader, thinking, okay, I need to get the confidence of these women and I care about them and I want to get the best, And I stepped onto the aircon thing and it caught on the heel of my shoe. And they're all watching me already thinking, who the hell does she think she is? And I thought, right, I'm just going to have to walk with it. So I walked with it on my shoe to my desk. Why is that face like that, Mac?
Go for it.
And I said, hi everyone, I'm like nervous disposition. Do you know what I mean? I'm already really nervous. I've got the aircon thing on my heel. And I thought, this is a make it or break it moment, because I want to cry, right? And there was many times I cried. But I thought, right, I'm just going to have to go really confident now, really up that confidence, Scarlett. So, good morning, everyone. So everyone's like, what the hell's going on?
Where's she got that on her shit?
Yeah. They're whispering it's like, what's going on? So I said, right, there's been an issue with the aircon things. I start to laugh. Well, then they're starting to laugh. Then one of the girls is helping me take it off my shoe, and we just faced it straight away, and it broke the ice, and it ended up being the highest performing team in the call centre. And that was at the time, but that was because it was with human. It was human nature. I was like, it's the first time I stepped into this role. I'm really passionate. I know we're going to be amazing. I appreciate it. I'm young. I faced all the things straight away. Had really open conversation, and it worked out. It was fantastic opportunity, actually.
I think that's
that I got at that age. Yeah.
Good example of like, I think what true leadership looks like is that there has to be this willingness not to take yourself too seriously. 100%. And I think actually that's part of the skill set to say. I think a lot of people get into leadership for this like ego boost in themselves, and again, I don't often see that working well. But actually, people that get into leadership for what they can bring, for their ability to nurture and develop other people, and bring the best out of other people, I think is one of the things that I see as being absolutely crucial. And I think that is linked to like this human side of we're all people. Do you know what I mean? We all have bad days, we all have good days, and your ability to understand that and tap into that as a leader is absolutely what will set you apart.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's having a humble approach. It's thinking, okay, I'm around incredible individuals. I've got this beautiful opportunity to lead, but actually, what can I learn?
Yeah.
And that has been the approach I took at 19, because I sure knew I needed it. And it's the approach that I take today. I want to hear exactly what all of my team think, what they've got to say. We can come up with the decision. I'll make the hard decisions. It's a big part of leadership, right? And you have to take accountability for them hard decisions. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But the decisions do have to be made. But it's about saying, this is the why, this is the how, what do you think? Let's learn together. What have we learned from it? How do we move forwards? And there's a humbleness to it, actually. For me, it's the opposite to ego. It's the opposite to power. It's the opposite of trying to control people or micromanage people. I've actually no interest in that. Because actually, I never wanted to have a boss. So that was my thoughts. I struggled at school because I didn't want to be told what to do. I struggled at home as I didn't want to be told what to do. So the last thing I want to really be doing, knowing that, is telling someone what to do and what. It's let's get the best out of this collaboratively. And that's always been my approach and the approach of the leaders that I respect.
It's interesting. I don't think I've ever, because as you're saying that, I was questioning myself to say, have I ever had a problem with authority? Have I ever despised being told what to do? And I don't think I intrinsically have an issue with being told what to do.
No, yeah, I don't
I
either.
think I have an issue when what I'm being told to do doesn't make sense, or the person can't explain why they're telling me to do it in a certain way. I'm like, I don't mind being told what to do, but if I challenge you, you have to come with a reasonable, well-balanced explanation for the why.
That's my thoughts.
And if it doesn't add up, then I'm absolutely not doing it.
In a respectful way.
Sometimes.
In a respectful way. But that is exactly where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay, we landed. We're so in
you have I converted you?
Have you converted me?
Yeah, a leader's born. They're a combination of two, right? Yeah, there's no debate on that. But if we were to sit on the fence, rubbish answer, I agree. We can't have that.
We have to have.
Come on, lead, Mac, lead.
This is the hard decisions you're talking about, right? Hard decision, nature or nurture, of course.
Oh, well, you put it to me. I still stand by it. 100%. Of course, you evolve. You're constantly learning. No debate. But I do believe there's something in you, something intrinsically within you that you're born with.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say nurture just for the fact that I firmly believe everyone's got it within them to be a good leader. However, I think different leaders are made for different assignments. And actually, something you mentioned really early on in this conversation in terms of some people lead in the home, some people lead in their community, some people lead in sports. And actually, we can't just have this title of leader as like this monolith of everything is leadership. It's like there are bits of leadership in a lot of different things. So I believe everyone has the potential to lead in some area, but it's about A, finding what that area is, and B, I feel like I'm moving over to your side of the fence a little bit.
Well, it's really interesting as you're speaking. I didn't want to interrupt you. Sure. No. It's really interesting. So it just came into my mind, and I was listening to you, and I thought, I touched on hyperfunctioning earlier. And there's an element of me that questions if the leadership response is an element of a trauma response.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Actually. 100%. And as I've just been thinking about those that are, and I'm just talking about in the workplace, right? Those that are like, I want to be this, I need to be this. It often is coming from some kind of, me included, a trauma response.
Even sports is like one of the things I've seen in sports where it's like somebody has been distinctly average, or maybe they've been knocked back from a certain team, and their response is, I'm going to train incredibly hard and I'm just going to be the best there is.
And that's the essence. That's the bit I'm talking about.
That's the nature part for you.
Yeah.
I feel like you might have convinced me because, again, when I was breaking it down in terms of like different leaders for different things, what was kind of coming to my mind is that obviously, okay, if there is different leaders for different things, that's probably innate within you, like something that you're born to do. And again, for some people it's the home, for some people it's the community, for some people it's sports. But the reason that I've been so keen to explore the nurture side of things is that I deeply believe in the human potential, and I deeply believe that part of that journey is A, identifying where you're supposed to lead, but then B, identifying the skills you need to develop in order to fully lean into that leadership capacity.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking, now you're getting me thinking, and I'm actually thinking some of the best leaders, I can think of a couple, have gone into leadership being much more mature in their career, in 60s. I've got 2 examples, and hadn't led before, and actually wonderful. And that's an interesting thought.
That's where my mind was going to in terms of actually when you've reached a certain age or you've developed a certain level of expertise, that then unlocks the ability to move into leadership.
I think you're a born leader, Mac.
Me personally?
You're a born leader.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I'll disagree.
Yeah.
I think there's certain elements and traits that I've had from young. I don't think I was born with them though. I think, again, back to your point, I think a lot of it is like a trauma response to what you've observed, what you've been through, that
all the leaders need to go. If we could all go to
group
therapy,
yeah,
group
absolutely.
therapy.
This is my therapy, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just unpacking things that need to be explored. But yeah, I think you've converted me. Born leaders.
We'll end it there. Oh, that's really good. That was really interesting conversation.
I like that one.
I did. It's nice talking about leadership. Yeah. You know what? I agree actually, because it's something.
You need to balance that.
It just balances some of the. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you really got me thinking there.
Same.
Yeah.
I was convinced.
I was
convinced. No. Leaders are developed.
Yeah, I think they are as well, for sure. But I do feel like there's something. I might get some more water.